This is the mastering suite, a two-channel listening environment room designed exclusively for the craft of mastering. In essence, the duty of the mastering engineer is to analyze with trained ears in order to balance the dynamics of the final mixes of individual tracks usually compiled in albums or LPs. A mastering engineer has to be capable to identify the issue, manage it, and achieve a more consistent result and approach of the requisites of the client. By the use of the appropriate gear and the ears of the mastering engineer, it is possible to prepare the tracks for delivery to a wide range of mediums, from wax masters to CDs to digital. This room can be described as the London-New York Standard Room. The format of this room is large, with a freestanding speaker system, neutral but fairly live room. In an audiophile's mind, a perfect room will be placed in the middle of nowhere, where anything will interfere with the frequencies hitting your ears. This perfect environment is called free zone. In order to achieve a clear and flat response sound within the mastering room, the identification of leaking, reflections, and resonances has to be stirred to neutral. This room has been constructed with the coupling walls, two plasterboard panels, a rock wall, an empty space followed by another rock wall, and two more plasterboards. Two layers are better than one theory has been applied. Two doors are separated by more than the thickness of the wall and have been built with a double-glazed window and an airtight glaze to prevent leaks from the edges. These doors are heavy solid made, good aspect for a good noise-blocking door. However, it is more efficient to have a door with no windows, and this has been considered for the room improvements. On the time working in this studio, I have often heard a video playing from the room next to me or a guitar playing from the room above me. This is called airborne sound, which is sound transmitted through the air. Airborne sound may be generated by speech, television, and mid-high frequencies occurring in the other side of the wall. I asked one of the staff members which could be the reason for this leaking. He showed me the ceiling of the studio's hall and the wall of the corridor. The ceiling has an empty space where the air conditioner units are located. He explained me that the air conditioner is not fastened with an acoustic sealant. The wall is plasterboard and has a few centimeters of space until the first fiberglass layer is seen. Therefore, the sound that leaks to the room travels through this space and resonates. This leaking has to be reduced as much as possible in order to achieve an optimized acoustics. Since the room is wider enough to embrace space, the next room improvement is to create layers of soundproofing and damping materials to minimize the sound leaking from the walls. This can be done during summer, in the time of checking and maintenance of the studio. The room interacts with the monitors, and it is imperative to ensure that all supplied audio is represented with the lowest amount of distortion and coloration. The speakers dwelling in this suite are the Barefoot Sound Micromain 2. This pair is a main monitor operating in a near-field position. They are a three-way design, one tweeter and two mid-ranges on the front and two woofers on each side. The speakers are located about 1.5 meters away from the listener position, a typical near-field situation, where the tonalities become powerful with a well-balanced bass. This mastering studio is considered a hybrid studio, a mix-oriented configuration where the DAW is the hub of the studio and the hardware and software are synchronized within the mix without having to leave ITV mix. In a common mastering session array, the digital mix is played by a computer on the DAW, then is sent through a digital to analog converter, the Eclipse, flows to the dangerous master via analog signal, which has switches on the inserts of the signal processor's hardware into the signal path for mastering treatment. The mastering engineer must analyze the source via its ears and the other measurement tools and decide what processing treatment is required to bring the track to its full potential. Then the analog audio signal goes back to the master control, flows to the analog to digital converter, and then is sent to the capture platform for preparation and delivery on the target medium to be mastered. It is imperative to monitor the signal in a clinical way, free of any sonic imprint or any accidental color the gear might impart onto the signal before processing. The key components like the transfer console, DAC, analog zooming, and monitor control must be transparent to serve the mastering process rather than challenge the engineer with unwanted changes to the source signal, like distortion or clipping. The DAW that is used in this particular mastering studio dwells in a Mac Mini operating system, 16 GB of RAM processor. It is connected to the Eclipse via USB 2.0 to synchronize in sample rate and bit depth with the digital audio software. The DAW utilized for reproducing the stereo tracks and exert surgery is Pro Tools 12 HD. An array of plugins for mastering are installed in the iOS ready to be used on the DAW. The isotope ozone plugins are prevalent and rarely utilized in this studio. Besides, there are two professional digital audio softwares with a workflow focused solely in mastering preparation and music delivery formats: Soundblade from Sony Studio and Waveburner from Apple. Soundblade All Access version HD is an ultra-fidelity digital audio system, a predecessor of pre-master CD softwares that improves the final mastering process on CDs, DDPs, or exported files, among other features. Waveburner is a Mac software professional application bundled with Logic Studio, essentially providing a full set of tools to create a Red Book master from audio mixes. Like Soundblade, it is possible to apply a series of audio processing tools, although it is preferably used for basic CD layouts and fades. The Audio Master Clock is an essential tool in this environment. It is the AD conversion process which defines the quality of an audio signal. It allows the waveform to be reconstructed as an analog signal correctly, as long as it follows the Nyquist theorem. If the clock timing varies, the audio samples will possibly be replayed or recorded at the wrong time, resulting in sound distortion, jitter, and aliasing. A jitter-free clock is an essential element for professional AD converters, and in the case of very high-end converters such as Eclipse, Prism, Forcell, Pacific Microsonics, DCS, and so on, it is safe as their internal clocks are as high-end as their price. In this studio, when combining or interconnecting digital signals from different sources, it's vital that the audio samples from each device arrive at exactly the same time so that their data can be mixed together or processed. If they don't arrive together, samples from sources will be missed, and clicks or glitches might be heard. Eclipse 384 by Antelope is the clock master of the mastering suite. It comprises a stereo AD and dual DA converter at up to 384 kHz sample rates. The Antelope is connected to the MM27 via stereo analog monitor speaker output, balanced TRS. It has a BMC cable connected to the L2 Ultra Maximizer limiter for an accurate sample rate comparison. 4 XLR cables are connected to the Dangerous Master. The Dangerous Music is a 2-bus analog device and is the centerpiece of the mastering rig. The Dangerous Insert 1 is connected via 4 XLR cables to the Avalon. The Insert 2 is connected to the Soundtech via 4 XLR, and the third insert is also connected via 4 XLR to the patch bay. Signal processors hardware. Avalon 747. This stereo compressor and EQ is a stereo tube discrete Class A with a 6-band EQ. It is inserted to the Dangerous Avalon through the first button. This unit is an optocompressor. It functions with a minimal signal path that uses sealed silver relays for the routing and bypass functions. This device controls the signal, adds gel, and its attacks and release will vary depending on the program, offering flexibility to the mastering process as an optocompressor works. Soundtech mastering equalizers were among the first parametric EQs manufactured and are considered some of the most musical of all time. It can equalize a program and preview material simultaneously as it is dual stereo. It is also set up to control to the mid-side stereo images, providing more control over the frequencies in the stereo image. This EQ is versatile and extremely accurate, very critical when clinical surgery is exerted. Wave 2 Ultra Maximizer. This hot gear is a look-ahead stereo mastering limiter. The main parameters are threshold, output ceiling, attenuation, and release, and the volumes of each channel can be adjusted independently, among other settings. This is a replica of the genuine Fairchild Model 670. This King of the North is the most expensive compressor in the world, and it's also a variable mu valve limiter. It incorporates 2 independent limiters on one chassis, which can limit either 2 independent signals, such as the left and right channels of a stereo signal, or the vertical and lateral components of the same. This unit has extremely low distortion and noise under all conditions. The attack time is made extremely fast in order to cut short transients, and the release time is made adjustable from 0.3 seconds to 25 seconds in 6 steps. EMI channel TG1 compressor limiter Abbey Road. It is a recreation of the EMI TG12413 used in custom EMI and Abbey Road recordings and mastering consoles from the late 60s, and also inspired by the Fairchild 670. This limiter was featured on every channel on TG consoles used to record the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Paul McCartney, and the Rolling Stones. DBX 160. Introduced in 1971, it was the very first compressor designed from the company. The DBX160 is a solid-state compressor, a hybrid of VCA and RMS detention circuit design. It has a rough, warm, and grainy punch, reinforcing both intelligibly and presence. NE33609N stereo compressor. Classic compressor from the early 70s. It was built based on the 2254 console compressor, originally designed by Rupert Neve. Regarding functionality, allows multi-channel operations. It has independent side chains for the compressor and limiter section, providing circuit action and harmonics without compression or limiter. It's famous for gluing mixes together, making them sound fuller. Studer Tape A80 and Dolby SRA noise reduction. The analog tape reproduces a beautiful analog sound. Analog tape is used throughout some of the most successful mastering studios in the world and has retained its position in the mastering studio due to its unique sonical and technical properties. The Dolby unit is unwired to the tape machine, which is calibrated to work only with the Dolby processor that works on the principle of encode-decode, decoding the analog signal of the studer in order to be captured in Pro Tools. Besides, it eliminates tape hiss and offers both SR and A-type noise reduction when encoding-decoding. After thoroughly touring the studio, my knowledge regarding mastering has expanded, and this is due to the complete and meticulous method in which this studio has been forged. This studio is a complete professional mastering environment. However, I have created a list with tips to improve slightly the usage of this room. The first element I noticed that could be upgraded is the acoustic treatment. Firstly noted on this list is the soundproofing component. A heavy fire door as a best choice or a heavy solid good door. If not possible, add a secondary double glazing inside the existing double glazed door, airtight seals around doors and windows. It effectively reduces sound by a factor of 4 or 6 dB. A door sweep helps with leaking sound in and out of the room. As mentioned above, I want to improve the walls after knowing how they have been constructed. My idea to decrease leakings through the walls is to add more mass. The mass can be acoustic plasterboard and high-density products like this type of black panel, which is recycled rubber mat. Between those boards, they sandwich some type of damping compound, like fiberglass or acoustic foam used to achieve a more consistent isolation. I have considered pre-damped specialty drywalls. Any pre-damped drywall is simply layers of a standard board that you can buy at Home Depot, drywall or cement underlayment. It is a good idea to use acoustic sealant to fasten the air conditioner and avoid vibrational sound waves. This room has a fair flat response accomplished by the sound absorption elements that have been wisely located to minimize sound aberrations. I have only considered one upgrade to enhance the sound, and is the use of sound curtains inside the room. It relates as the heavier the curtains, the lower frequency of sound they will absorb. This might help to tame ambience, reverb, and reduce mid-high frequencies slaps. The possibility of a curtain as sound absorption alternative can be referenced on the mass law from the acoustic science. This law cites that doubling a mass or frequency results in a 6 dB increase in the sound isolation of a single leaf partition over a defined frequency range. Therefore, the thicker the curtain, the more sound will absorb. Based on the mastering studios that the professional mastering engineers own, I have decided to upgrade the converter for a better high-quality conversion methodology. To upgrade the converter in this room, I have chosen a standalone external clock, which is proven to be ultra-stable. I have thought of the Zodiac Plus Platinum DSD DAC as a clock master, distributing the clock source to all the other hardware. It will be connected out of Pro Tools where the first conversion occurs, patched to the Dangerous Master, and in the printing stage, the Eclipse 384 as the final monitoring DAC for playback of high-end monitors. The Zodiac Platinum supports up to 384 kHz sample rate, 24-bit depth, streaming to a custom-designed ultra-low jitter, and USB connection to the PC. It is used by Warner Brothers and Howie Weinberg, among others, whom are trustworthy humans regarding professional gear. I want to add in this studio the 1167LN classic limiting amplifier made by Universal Audio. since there is only one limiter in the studio focused in a specific genre of music. The 1176 is a FET-style compressor, offering a wider choices to explore. It has an ultra-fast attack time, starting at 20 microseconds. The LN stands for low noise circuitry that reduces the noise by 6 dB and redistributes the noise spectrum, producing even more noise reduction in the sensitive mid-range. This FET-style compressor has been the inspiration for modern FET compressors and has contributed to their production in the industry. This will be added to the patch bay and connected through the third insert on the Dangerous Master. To extend the array of compressors, Shadow Hill's industry mastering compressor is one of my selected ones, as the reviews from the best mastering engineers entice us to include one in the mastering gear. The input stage is transformed balanced, followed by a full discrete optical compressor, provides mastering grade compression and limiting for tracking and mixing. Sterling Sound defines its device as versatile with a warm and rich character. This will be connected also to the patch bay through the insert number 3 of the Dangerous Master. As a final gear improvement, the Manley Variable Mu limiter compressor is one on this list. It is a full-field experience if the students are able to hear the sonic wonders of this device. The Fairchild 670 also uses the Vari-Mu technique, but the pioneers to achieve an exceptional sound from this analog circuitry were Manley. Mu means tube speak for the gain-type circuitry. The circuitry uses the rebiasing of a vacuum tube to achieve compression. It has a slow attack, which can benefit certain genres. However, the outstanding features are the glue and the substance that designs in the programs. These are all my thoughts for upgrading this Wonder Studio that, as I mentioned above, has already everything that one could dream to have in a mastering suite.